Well, hello everyone and welcome or welcome back. Whether you're here for the first time or returning, thank you for stopping by. Episode 13 now, and we are going to be doing a bit of overdue scenic work in Pringleton Yard. We are going to be using a bit of static grass, some homemade ground foliage and ground cover, all mixed together to create a bit of a rough feel between some of the tracks to make it a bit more realistic. So sit back, pour yourself a drink and enjoy. Welcome once again to the Pringleton Model Railway. Okay, so we are straight in here, and here's a reminder, this is Pringleton Yard, so we can see in the far on the left hand side there, that's the sort of expansive freight yard. Very happy with that. What a joy to be able to have that. And then over on the right hand side we see the loco shed and the loco depot, and there's some bits and bobs going on there as well. The class 47 and the class 59 safely in the sheds at the moment. Now it is this section here which I've decided to do a bit of work on today because it looks unnaturally plain, and you can see, oh god, months back I'd done some scenic work along here and it's all very pleasant, but I got distracted and got a bit of static grass down there, didn't get any bushes on here, and had meant to come up this area as well. So nothing too extreme, just a little bit of sort of wild grass, a few shrubs, a bit of foliage, that sort of stuff, just to make it a bit more realistic. So that is the section we are going to be taking a look at right now. Okay, so then phase one is going to be that static grass element. So let's have a look at the weaponry we have for this. So we have the static grass applicator, bought from eBay, nothing particularly clever, nothing expensive, and that is the screw which we'll use to anchor it into the wet PVA. We have copious amounts of PVA glue here as well, and we have a selection of static grass. Now I bought a little starter kit of this back when I started doing the work on Mount Pringleton, like a couple of years back now, and there's loads here. I foresee it doing pretty much all of the layout as it stands. I don't think I'm going to be using the sort of the summer and the really green colours, or at least not in quantities, because it is going to be a fairly rough piece of area. So I foresee using these sort of dark grey and green ones as well. So let's get cracking with the static grass phase. Okay, so here is our target area. We have some PVA glue, a brush all ready to go. So let's just get applying really. So this ain't going to be particularly pretty, it's just going to be a bit of rough area between the tracks. So I'm not being too delicate about it, because this is just how it's all grown. There's a bit of sort of foliage over the years. It's like the ill-kempt part of the railway. Reasonably thick amount. Now there's plenty of static grass videos on YouTube, but hey, this is my first one, so let's see how it goes. It's not my first time doing static grass, I should stress. Did plenty of that on Mount Pringleton and around some of the other areas as well. I think that's probably going to be fine. So let's put that glue out the way. Now let's open up the applicator and pop in a selection of static grass. So quite a few of these things. I'm teasing it all out so that the fibres are loose. Those sort of big balls won't work, so it needs to be quite loose to be effective. I think that is probably good to go. So we will put the cap onto there. Now maybe in an ideal world I'd have masked off all this area around, but I think that's okay because there's no glue on it, and obviously I will vacuum up afterwards. So I'm connecting my pin, my screw to that. If you want to know how static grass works, there's plenty of videos on the science of that. So we will now put the pin into the wet glue and we shake generously over the area and apply the power to lift fibres up and into the without wanting to overdo it, I think I'm going to be quite happy with that. What I am going to do now is actually just put a different colour in. So I'm going to open up the old hopper again and not maybe some of this colour, just to give it a little bit of contrast. This seems slightly longer. One more application now. So there we are with phase one done, and you can see that is starting to look pretty good. There's still some areas where the PVA is wet, and I've actually added in a couple of extra blobs of PVA just to do a bit of other scenic work whilst I'm at it, and also over the other side here as well, just to kind of give a bit of continuity. Now, in an ideal world, in fact, probably I should be leaving this to dry before I do anything else, but I'm going to actually take advantage of the stuff that is still wet to apply something else as well. So looking over at what we've got ready for phase two here, so this stuff, my homemade clump foliage, is the yellow bits off of kitchen scourer sponges, all dipped into different combinations of poster paint and left to dry. Similarly for sawdust here, dipped in different shades of green and brown. So I'm going to use bits and bobs of all of these to sort of give a more rough and ready ground effect. So I'm going to be mostly using this, the sawdust, I think. So I'm just going to be sprinkling little bits of that over some of the areas where there is particular chunks of wet PVA still. And I'm going to use a couple of different colours as well. Just grab a couple of these out of this bag and just drop tiny, that to me looks too big, so I'm just going to drop a couple of these little bits into position. I think it's pretty easy to overdo this stuff, so I'm going to resist doing that, but a couple of different colour ones as well. And then certainly some around this this lamp feels right as well, like so. I'm really pleased with this. So for a couple of little bits, tiny little bits of the really light one as well. It feels right that there would be some bits around this lamppost for sure. So that's pretty dandy. I don't know, I'm pretty happy with this actually. Don't it give it a lift, just a little bit of extra depth. And then just as a finale, the tiniest little bit of brown lichen. So piece there, piece there. These aren't the formal gardens of Pringleton. This is real life sort of scrub. Okay then, so to wrap up the job and all the detritus of the work here, so yeah, it's not much for tidying up. Anyway, in this little dropper bottle, I've got a mixture of the last bits of that PVA glue and some warm water, warmish water, probably about 5:1 ratio. So I'm going to just drizzle that over, not so much the static grass bit, but all the foliage and the lichen and the sawdust bit I put on there to give that ground cover, just to fully set that into position. So let's go and put that in place now. Here we go, just drizzle this over. It doesn't, it can be a decent bit on there, and that will all just dry off. Doesn't matter that it looks white and sticky now, it will all go rock hard overnight. Okay, so that is everything done. Everything's been dilute PVA'd. You can see the globules still there. It's all glistening with the moisture. And here is the section done. So, of course, the proof's in the pudding tomorrow when it's all dry and the vacuuming gets done. But I am pretty optimistic this is going to look good. And I think the challenge now is not to overdo it, but simply to walk away and let it dry overnight. Okay, so a whole day's passed, everything's dried, so it's now time to give it a bit of a vacuum in to clear up, make sure none of that gets stuck between the loco and wagon wheels, and tidy everything up, ready to see how it looks. So there we have it, some static grass applied using a cheap applicator off of eBay, and some homemade ground cover with sawdust and old bits of sponge mixed up into different colour powder paints. A teeny tiny bit of lichen on there to give a really nice authentic feel. Now if you've enjoyed this episode, please feel free to like, comment and subscribe, and do feel free to share this episode as well. I really appreciate all of your support and love all your comments as well. We will end with a closer look at our scenic work and let some of Pringleton's locos and wagons play us out with some wonderful music as always. Thank you again for watching. See you in the next episode. Cheerio!